Hey everybody, and welcome to the thing. This is just a quick video. Going to do a wee shorty for you on a great little piece of satire. A video that was put out by Juice Media. I'm going to show it to you. It's an Australian satirical comedy, political thing, whatever. I don't even know what they are, to be honest, but they put out this piece of fantastic satire that made me laugh, and also kind of, as all good satire does, it landed hard. So I'm going to show that to you. But first, if you share, subscribe, like the video, do all that, share it with your buddies, and if you want to, you can join me over in the Patreon for £3 a month. That's all it is. So let's do this. So Juice Media is as I've said, they're an Australian satire group, I guess, TV show, I think. And as I said, I don't even know who they are. This has literally just come up on my timeline on Twitter, and I thought I would share it with you while I have the opportunity to come out to the studio and do it. So here we go. We'll get straight to it. Check this out. A couple of minutes long.
Hello, I'm from the British government with a message to the nation. As it clings like a desperate turd to the edge of the shitter, our strong and stable hand on the flush.
By the way, if you're of a delicate disposition that don't like swearing, you might want to fuck off. And you're about to get a lesson in the colourful Australian swearing, for want of a better word. Trying to think of another word for it.
We know many of you are facing uncertainty, like the uncertainty of who the fuck is in charge here during this cost of living crisis. Now that this sentient ham is no longer PM. Sure, you were probably wondering that when the pissed Merkin was the PM. His main feats being to flout his own COVID laws, hand out lucrative contracts to our donors, and get a shit ton of you killed. But don't worry, soon we'll announce the new PM to assume those crucial roles. Either this stunned mullet who's been specially trained to utter populist wank.
We're producing more varieties of cheese than the French.
Or this harrowing twat who boasts of stealing money from the poor. So both well qualified for the job. And when we announce the winner, we'd like you all to pretend this is a brand new government, not the exact same one that's fucked you sideways into a full-blown state of social, economic and ecological collapse. Cause nothing says a brighter, more secure future than plummeting wages, soaring inflation, poverty, hunger, food banks, a collapsing health system, under-resourced rescue services, cities on fire, dying rivers, drought, crop failures, overflowing sewage, and polio. Tory.
I'm going to talk to you a little bit at the end of this about the overflowing sewage part of an article on that, which is just, yeah.
A collapsing health system, under-resourced rescue services, cities on fire, dying rivers, drought, crop failures, overflowing sewage, and polio. Tories. With a government like us, who needs terrorists? As things fall apart, we ask you to keep calm and carry on, being reamed in the arse by the skyrocketing energy prices we've done
like
nothing
this,
to protect you from.
terrorists?
Remember how during the last energy crisis, our pigfucker-in-chief rolled back insulation and renewable schemes? Well, cutting the green crap has added billions to your energy bills. Look, have we made mistakes? Maybe. But have we learned from them? Of course not. That's why, as we face another energy price crisis today, we're once again proposing to roll back green levies and renewable schemes. Sure, that would further increase our dependence on gas, which is what's causing this crisis, but at least it'll distract from how we have absolutely no plan to keep millions of you warm this winter. What might help is taxing these bastards more, or renationalising these ones. But why do that when we can just let you book yourself into your nearest warm bank? British government. You're on your own, dickheads. Whatever you do during this void of leadership, please don't take matters into your own hands, like going on strike to demand a pay rise in line with inflation, or joining a union. Get back to work, Amazon slaves. Civil disobedience scares the shit out of us, and is why both assholes vying to be the next PM have promised to ban strikes. Most importantly, do not sign up to this campaign, where people are pledging to cancel their direct debit if we let energy prices rise further. Remember that time millions of you refused to pay the poll tax and you brought down this government?
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
We wouldn't want to have that again, would we? Because, you see, your masters have not heard the people's voice for a generation, and it is much, much louder than we care to remember. Now get back to work, Britain. Our tax havens and free ports aren't going to pay for themselves, you pieces of shit. God save the Queen. Authorised by Scott Morrison, Minister for Everything, Everywhere.
Ooh, wow. That was just a litany of Tory failure. And that line, with a government like this, who needs terrorists? You know, and that's it in a nutshell. I always say that, always, whenever you're when you're taking on board the messages coming from the media, and they try to scaremonger, and then they're using whatever distraction tactics to take your eyes off whatever's happening at home by telling you Vladimir Putin's going to do this or Osama bin Laden's going to do that. I'm not afraid of Vladimir Putin. I am fucking terrified of Tories. Yeah, so there we go. What about that? So just that list, that is a litany. That is a complete, concise list of Tory failure. Well, it's not even complete. There we go. You could go on, but when you see it put like that, it's very stark, isn't it? It's absolutely amazing. So just on the water thing. Now, I don't know if you know this, but in the English water companies have been nationalised. They got nationalised in 1989. Here we go. So Fergal Sharkey, that Fergal Sharkey. I don't know what it is he does, but he's very politically active and what have you. But he says a number 10 spokesperson said, since the industry was privatised in 1989, the equivalent of $5 billion had been invested to upgrade water infrastructure. It's in England, right? Let me remind you that during the same period, water companies have paid out £72 billion to shareholders. And he links to a BBC article, which is here. And I'll give you a quick read of that. So, because what's happened in England is the water companies have emptied what's been referred to as raw sewage. Now, I found out this morning that it's not raw sewage, it's 95% water. It's only the rest of it is 5% sewage. So that's okay then. And they've emptied them out onto the beaches of the south coast of England, and every beach from Brighton, Hove, all those beautiful places. The people do use those beaches. I have lots of friends down there. They're all closed. So here we go. Water firms face growing criticism over beach sewage. I'm only reading this because this is the most recent one. This is literally this week. So all those other ones, a lot of them are still ongoing as well, but this is very current. Water companies are facing mounting criticism from environmental campaigners and politicians over sewage being pumped onto British beaches, English beaches. Pollution warnings remain in place across more than 20 beaches and swimming spots in England and Wales. Okay, Wales. I didn't think they had privatised theirs. There we go. Obviously, I stand corrected. Heavy rain. Downing Street condemned the industry for not reducing sewage discharge and putting shareholders before customers. Now, do you remember all this being talked about, warned about last year? I do. I remember this. Was the Tories passed legislation that allows this to happen. And we mustn't forget that everybody that warned of the worst excesses of this, that the water companies, what they were capable of doing, have been proven correct, but they always are. And why? Because of capitalism. It's simple. Capitalism determines that this is going to happen. The free market determines that this is going to happen. The never-ending chase for profit and growth determine that this is going to happen, because if the company are allowed to do this, or they're tasked with building a refinery to deal with this in the proper manner, but they can do one or do the other, if they've got a choice, then they're going to do the cheapest one to chase the profit. The massive profit, 72 billion. Wow. Need to get a bit of that action. Downing Street condemned the industry. Okay, yeah, Downing Street condemned the industry. Downing Street fucking made this happen. But Labour and leading campaigners said ministers had not done enough. At the height of the recent problems last week, there were warnings in place at more than 40 locations. Environmental campaigner Fergal Sharkey, so that's what he does now, said issues with sewage showed the water industry was in an extraordinary state of chaos, and said decades of regulatory failure, underinvestment and profiteering had led to the current situation. Well, yeah. I mean, that's all. That's all our utilities. A government spokesperson said ministers expected water companies to take urgent action on this issue or face fines. The Environment Agency, which covers England, said the capacity for the sewage system can be exceeded at times during heavy rainfall, especially when the dry ground is unable to absorb water quickly. So, you know that this can happen. You know that this is likely to happen in times of dryness. We know that we're getting increasingly, especially in the south of England, they are anyway, getting increasingly longer and warmer summers. Well, our weather here is doing its own fucking thing. But you don't plan for it. You know what's going to happen, but you do nothing about it. That's the fucking problem, right? The Environment Agency, which covers England, said the capacity for the sewage system... Yes, we read that. This could lead to the inundation of sewage works and potential flooding of homes, roads and open spaces. And for this reason, the system is designed to overflow occasionally and discharge excess wastewater directly to the sea and rivers. Untreated sewage is normally screened and passed through storage tanks before being dumped. The government said firms had already faced legal prosecution from regulators, pointing out the Environment Agency's prosecutions against water and sewage companies since 2015 had resulted in fines of over more than £137 million, but billions of profit. You can get fined or you can take the profit. Take the fucking fine. Last year, Southern Water was fined a record $90 million for deliberately dumping billions of litres of raw sewage into the sea, which the company said was a result of negligence. But Mr. Sharkey told the BBC Breakfast, "I'm afraid what you're looking at is simply the result of 30 years of underinvestment by the water industry. 30 years of profiteering, 30 years of regulatory failure, and 30 years of a vacuum of political oversight and government failing to take proper controls for this industry." The Downing Street spokesperson said the industry was privatised in '89. The equivalent of $5 billion had been invested to upgrade water infrastructure. Neil Cutts, an activist from Surfers Against Sewage, said water firms tend not to listen to the group's calls for investment in water structure, and they won't. This childish fairy tale belief that these companies are going to do the right thing and respect nature, what a load of bollocks. What a load of fucking bollocks. It's a fairy tale. They're not going to do it. They have to be told to do it. That's why deregulation always... The downside of deregulation always falls on society. And the upside is the massive profits which go upwards to an increasingly fewer and fewer people. Increasingly richer and richer, fewer people. Speaking to the Times Radio on Sunday, Mr. Cutts said they tend to hide because they are protected slightly by the government as well, and a series of governments, not just the one that's currently in power at the moment. Middlesbrough's mayor has warned people to stay away from beaches and Teesside because of the totally unacceptable sewage discharges. The country is literally surrounded by shit. He said there was never a good time to make such a call, but pointed out he had been left needing to do so in the holiday season when he would normally want people to head to his region's coast. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer, the most useless fucker in the world, said the government had its head in the sand and accused ministers of not being tough enough on water companies while cutting funding for the Environment Agency. He said, "I think there is a huge anger about the sewage situation." Oh, really, Keith? Because we're seeing yet again sewage pumped into our rivers and seas. What it shows is that the government hasn't been tough enough on the water companies and enforcement against the water companies, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, the data analysed by the Liberal Democrats found water firms were not monitoring sewage discharges along the coastline. The party said that the data revealed many monitoring devices used by firms across the UK did not work at least 90% of the time or had not been installed at all. Water firms insisted they are committed to taking action. The Fox has said it is not going to raid the henhouse. In a statement, a Water UK spokesperson said, water firms agree there is an urgent need for action and we are investing more than $3 billion to improve. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there we go. What do we think of that? Water firms have said that they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to do nothing. Absolutely nothing. And on... Oh, that's a different one. I was going to do that one with you. I'll do it later on, though. Yeah. Unbelievable. So there we go. With a government like this, who needs terrorists? And that's my video for now. That's what it is. That's what I want to call this one. A wee quick upload. So, toodles everybody. Like, share, subscribe. Head over to Patreon. £3 a month. Bada bing, bada boom.